Hey, what's going on, fam? So, as promised, we got our mock draft is on deck. New York Jets about to be on the clock. There are some things I am going to consider this time around. We'll see what the trade proposals that come through may be. If they make enough sense, we'll definitely make it happen and work our way around. Uh, Other than that, I'll definitely be explaining all the selections. I will kind of consider what free agency moves I think we would have made at this point. Um, in order to kind of make some of the selections make sense based on who I let you guys know are still kind of on the board. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So first player off the board, the Jaguars end up going with Kayvon Thibodeau. So they they bucked the trend of Evan Neal or Ika Mekwanu being the selection for them. So immediately Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions, George Karlaftis to the Texans go off the board. We do get, and this is crazy, we do get two trade offers. We have one from the Ravens. They're going to give us their 14th, 45th, 76, so first, second, and third, as well as a second next year for the fourth. Or we can get the 15th and the 19th pick from the Eagles. Um, I'm really tempted to take this pick. Now, here's the thing. Personally, me, I'm really fine with where we're at our tackle position. I think worst case scenario, Mekhi Becton does come back healthy. We do see him for a season. Even if he loses the battle at left tackle against George Fant, we have a win-win there. I've talked about it repeatedly. George Fant and Mekhi Becton, amazing duo to have at tackle. Could we use some depth? Yeah, but I don't think we necessarily need somebody this high for something like that. So if we're taking a look at other players, this still gives us our pick of any wide receiver, which I think this pick is too high realistically. We do have Kyle Hamilton that's still on the board, and then we do have our pick of any of the cornerbacks. Now, personally, I think this might honestly be one of the best things that could have happened. I wouldn't see this being super realistic. I'll put let's just start there, right? But we could basically end up doubling down and getting three picks. The only thing I would say is if there's any way maybe we can sweeten the deal and have them throw in maybe something a little bit later. Uh, let's go. I don't think we'll make it happen. So we'll probably end up having to take it as is. We would have to take it as is. Now, I have a school of thought in mind. We'll see if the chips fall that way or if I end up looking ridiculous for this. But we're going to accept the Eagles trade. So we're going to swap our fourth for their 15th and pick up an additional 19th. Let's see who they actually want. They go with Kyle Hamilton. Wow. Okay. So I know we talked about the Eagles proposed trade before, and they would have wanted Malik Willis as the pickup in that scenario. But still, super, super crazy. So we finally come around to our pick, right? Kyle Hamilton to the Eagles, Evan Neal to the Giants. Amazing value for them. Andrew Booth Jr. goes to the Panthers. Garrett Wilson to the Giants. Really weird. I've seen it happen in Jet Central mock draft too. Kenyon Green to the Falcons. Matt Corral to the Broncos. Now, we do have offers again. The Browns want to basically swap looks like first and second round picks. So we would give them the 10th as well as, or excuse me, third round picks. A third for a second maybe. So we would swap first and then we would pick up a second from them and give them our third. I think we stay put at this point. Okay, so we basically still have Ekwonu on the board. Again, I don't really want to touch tackles at this point. We can still get our pick of any wide receiver, our pick of pretty much any cornerback, which, maybe Andrew Booth Jr. does go before anybody else, but we still have Stingley. We still have Ahmad Gardner. Yeah, oh my God. I don't think this could have worked out any better for us. So, based on what we've been hearing recently, we want a number one wide receiver, we want a number one cornerback. I don't know how this will pan out because basically we got 4 picks to wait after this one. I say we try to go ahead and secure our number one cornerback. I'm going to make Ahmad Gardner our pick. So we get a little sauce in New York. We allow Bryce Hall to slide back, cover the number twos. Um, we still have Michael Carter. That's going to be Michael Carter the second. That's going to be holding things down in the slot. We'll see if Brandon Echols maybe beats out Bryce Hall for anything. We see Derek Stingley go to the Vikings. Malik Willis go to the Commanders. Jamison Williams goes to the Browns. Jordan Davis, after his crazy combine, goes to the Ravens. We're back on the board. We have... I'm kicking myself right now because basically there's two players I really want. I don't know if we'll be able to pull both of them off. I want Tyler Linderbaum. I also want Drake London, who I think can be our number one. So if we think about free agency, I think Ryan Jensen, we could potentially make a target for us, and that would be center. We still could also work with Connor McGovern. It's not a point, it's not a foregone conclusion that he's absolutely gone. It's just that we might be able to actually upgrade and maybe slide into a different position or release him outright and save, I think it's like $8 million in cap. Oh man. Okay, so I think we need to go ahead and we can potentially knock out both points that I just mentioned. We got our number one cornerback with Ahmad Gardner. We can get our number one wide receiver with Drake London, and we'll see what happens at the 19th pick for us. So we're going to make Drake London the pick here. Chris Olave goes right after. DeMarvin Leal to the Chargers. David Ojabo to the Saints. I'm not accepting any other trades. We're going to go ahead and run to the podium with this one. And we're going to go ahead and pick up Tyler Linderbaum. So we immediately get three absolute monsters to bring onto the team and basically immediately upgrade every position. Drake London will come in. Corey Davis will slide to the number 2, which, based on information, sounds like they view him as a super quality number 2 anyways. And then we end up being able to keep Elijah Moore mainly in the slot, and we can, use him in some various ways, but let that be his main function. And since we don't really know what else we're going to have behind him, maybe we don't bring back Braxton. Maybe we don't have Jamison Crowder there. Everything else is up for debate. Denzel Mims still on the board, still on the team. But we don't necessarily know what his future is going to look like with us, right? He can definitely be traded during draft time or after. Some other picks, though. Charles Cross goes to the Steelers. Ika Ekwonu somehow lasts to the Jaguars. Jermaine Johnson goes to the Raiders. Devin Lloyd to the Titans. Sam Howell to the Bucks. And I can't remember the quarterback's name, but they just picked up a guy last year, so maybe they just want to try to create the best competition possible. Treylon Burks makes it to the Packers, so, if Rodgers ends up staying, he's going to have some fun with some weapons finally. Nakobe Dean goes to the Dolphins. Trevor Penning to the Bengals. They couldn't have asked for a better value pick there. Trent McDuffie last to the top of the second with the Patriots, and then Kenny Pickett goes to the Lions, so they finally have somebody waiting in the wings behind Jared Goff to end up picking up. So we've crushed the draft, if you ask me at this point. When we're taking a look at next moves, we've already, secured our number one wide receiver, number one cornerback. We got our center of the future on the team. We could potentially still add Zion Johnson here, which is crazy. We can go and try to double down on wide receiver. We can try to start taking a look at our tight end options. Maybe this is where we take a look at that tackle that we can bring in behind Mekhi Becton and George Fant. So I think what I want to do here is I don't see how we don't make a pick like this if it happens. Okay, so we're going to go Zion Johnson. We're going to double down on the line, right? So if the line looks crazy right now, Mekhi Becton or George Fant, Elijah Vera Tucker, Tyler Linderbaum, Zion Johnson, and then George Fant or Mekhi Becton. Ridiculous. Cameron Tomlin goes off next, and then Lewis signed the safety to the Texans. So that's another position in need we're going to try to need to take a look at. Which I think there's still a few that I would like up until like the third-ish round. So no immediate rush. We still pretty much have our pick of any tight ends. I think we could double down here too. There's one that I really, really like that I think we can pick up even as late as our, final fifth round pick. So the question would be, who do we want to go with? Personally, I really like Isaiah Likely as an immediate red zone threat. I think we should be able to get up and down the field without too much of a hassle heading into year two. And then we would have players like Isaiah Likely, Drake London that can really make the difference in the red zone for us. And then we know Elijah Moore's get off in the short routes is ridiculous. So we pretty much solidified our entire offensive line. If we want to go edge, since we missed out on prospects there, we still do have Drake Jackson, Kingsley Enagbari. Personally, I think if we can make it after this, I doubt he'll last, but I'm a little bit of a bigger fan of Mijai Sanders than Drake Jackson personally. So I would say maybe it makes more sense. Let's go ahead and target an Isaiah Likely. We bring him in, create another immediate red zone threat. So at this point, we've built an entire wall of China in front of Zach Wilson. We've gave him a number one weapon. We've given him a red zone threat. I still think we signed a David Njoku. So he has, plenty of legit talent at this point is what I would expect. Let's see who else is coming off the boards at this point. So Kenneth Walker goes to the Bears. Drake Jackson goes to the Broncos. Maybe the Seahawks either preparing for Russell Wilson's eventual departure, or if he actually left, they pick up their quarterback in Carson Strong. Trey McBride goes to the Commanders. Jahan Dotson to the Falcons. David Bell to the Lions. Kingsley goes to the Vikings. Chad Muma to the Eagles. Desmond Ridder makes it into the second round and goes to the Steelers, so they potentially still pick up a kid that they really like. Breece Hall goes to the Patriots. Christian Harris to the Cowboys. Roger McCreary to the Falcons. Jalen Weidemeyer goes to the Bucks. Darion Kendrick to the Texans. John Mechie, the third, goes to the Chiefs at the top of the third round. That's crazy. Okay, so perfect scenario for us. Taking a look at the board, we can still potentially get a really, really good safety in Jalen Petrie or Peter, however it's going to be pronounced. But we can still pick up somebody there. We can get Mijai Sanders. And personally, I'm a fan of, trying to target a couple Bearcats because I just think the program and what they were able to build there just makes a lot of sense. And we're talking about a really really ridiculous size speed kind of component to Mijai Sanders here. 6'5", 258 pounds. And he has some ability to develop some really ridiculous skills here. So I don't think we overthink it. We don't get one of the top edge rushers in the class, but we get somebody that can potentially develop and be in that top part. So we're going to go ahead and rush to the podium and pick up Mijai Sanders in the third round here. So I think at this point, if we're going to consider team needs, we've knocked off cornerback. We've knocked off edge potentially with Mijai Sanders. We got our tight end. Safety is really going to be the next huge thing for us. And then, of course, now we can start taking a look at some of the underrated components to the team, right? Getting a developmental tackle still, somebody behind just in case as insurance. Defensive tackle is still an underrated need. We can double down on wide receiver again at this point. There's still some people I like. We can consider cornerback if we needed to. I think it might be a little bit of roadkill. For me, it's going to start being between running back, safety, tackle, and linebacker position right now. So we do have Abraham Lucas from Washington State that's still on the board. And from what I remember earlier on, he was rated to go as high as potentially the second round. So that might be a little bit of a steal. We do have Travis Jones out of Connecticut, the defensive tackle. Quay Walker, linebacker from Georgia. I think this might need to be the pick. I would love to also go wide receiver here because there's a few that I still really like. Christian Watson's on the board. George Pickens still on the board. And then if Justin Ross ends up being able to put the pieces together, we have another potential dangerous red zone target. 6'4", he used to have the speed. Injuries kind of derailed what his college career was supposed to look like. We can also start taking a look at running back. We do have Tyler Algier on the board who can pair up and probably be dominant with Michael Carter. I think the smart move here would be to probably try to make sure we can infuse talent across the board. Let's bring in Quay Walker and some championship pedigree there. It actually looks like fail. Okay, so I had my mock draft paused a little bit. So we're gonna have some picks that's coming in. We'll see if we still have any of these players that last till our next pick. Quay Walker goes off the board to the Broncos. So far, I think the board has worked out pretty nice for us. Christian Watson goes right before our pick to the Ravens. That is tough. Jerome Ford to the Falcons. Okay, so we start seeing some running backs, some tight ends coming off. Jeremy Ruckert to the Browns. Yeah, that Quay Walker selection hurts a little bit. I can't believe I actually had this pause. Okay, so we have Tyler Algier still on the board. Justin Ross. We still have Brian Asamoah the second from Oklahoma. Damon Clark from LSU. We have Tyler Badie out of Missouri. We do need to make sure we still draft a safety, which I think can wait till our second pick here in the fourth. So at the risk of not necessarily having a coverage linebacker, which is what we would need a little bit more of than anything else, we can pick Brian Asamoah, who would be able to come in and at least dominate on 2 downs. We'll probably have to take him out on 3rd down packages, but I think maybe we wait a little bit. I do still like Leo Chenal as well. I would say let's go for a running back. We can give a little bit of familiarity to Zach Wilson and bring in Tyler Algier and give a little bit more of that punishing ability to pair up with Michael Carter. And then for our second pick here, this is where we can go with safety. And I think this is where it will be smart for us to pick up Kirby Joseph. The only other player that I'm pretty familiar with that I like the game of outside of Yusuf Corker would be Brian Cook. It's just going to be a matter of kind of how we want to play this out. So I say the smart move for us is probably going to be the linebacker position is probably the spot that needs the most amount of attention. We're going to go ahead and play it a little bit safe here. We're going to pick up Kirby Joseph, get some talent in that secondary position. We'll see who we actually end up targeting. Again, we don't really spend a lot of money, at least based on recent history in JD's tenure at the safety position. So, everybody's been mentioning the Jesse Bates and the Marcus Williams and things like that, but it's still a little bit hard for me to, see us actually doling out that large contract when we wouldn't, we didn't want to do it with Marcus May or Jamal Adams. Uh, and, their careers have taken a little bit of a turn here and there. But either way, we have the 5th round, 2 picks left, and we need to try to make the most of them. So pretty much the linebacker position and I guess maybe doubling down on safety would probably be like the smartest moves. Leo Chenal didn't actually end up lasting for us at all, unfortunately. And we still could use a developmental tackle as well. So at this point, the way things have fallen for us is a little bit of luxury at how we want to potentially, tackle things here. I would say let's start taking a look at, and it looks like maybe we would have needed to switch some things up. I don't think DT has any immediate value picks for us, but we can pick up like a Jojo Damon or a Mike Rose, who's a little bit more. He's a little bit more of kind of like the coverage side of things that we're looking for. So I would say maybe we double down at safety, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at bringing in Brian Cook, more talent. We get that winning pedigree coming from the Bearcats in Cincinnati. We get some familiarity with us actually bringing over a new, and I believe he's a defensive line assistant on the team. And, it'll be the perfect marriage of Ahmad Gardner and Brian Cook coming in. We get a little bit of immediate chemistry there between some of those players, which never underrate the chemistry. And then we can actually go ahead and pick us up somebody in like the final selection. It's a little bit high for him, admittedly, but there's nobody else I would say we would absolutely need to take ahead of him. So we're going to go with Mike Rose to kind of finish things out here for us. And I just want to see who else is here. Yeah, so we're going to make Mike Rose that final selection for us. So at this point, I don't know how you can't be excited about this draft class. We've absolutely crushed things at all significant need levels, as well as trying to boost the talent at their areas of need for us. And that Eagles trade was really a game changer. I'm still surprised that they did it for a Kyle Hamilton. But I mean, we've heard the Jets talk about kind of the unicorns of the NFL, and it would make sense if they really wanted him. Then they're going to make it happen. So I'm glad we were able to get it done. It's crazy that we walked away with Drake London, Tyler Linderbaum, as well as Ahmad Sauce Gardner. It's just the way the chips fell. But either way, let me know what you guys think. Was the trade ridiculous? Did you guys have other players I should have targeted? I guess, some honor roll names that I would throw out there that I still would have loved to have targeted if we have more picks. Bo Melton, the wide receiver. And Jelani Woods was another sneaky one, just based on the ridiculous combine that he had. I'm not expecting him to produce right away. I think we can get him in, and then we can develop that physical, the physical attributes that he actually has in the wings while we have a David Njoku or somebody up there. But again, let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I had a lot of fun with this. First year and first few times I'm actually ever doing this once again. But I'll catch up with you guys again. Peace.